Hello everyone, this is Amit Kumar. So today I'm going to talk about HTTP caching, and we are going to do hands-on implementation using ASP.NET Core Web API. So first of all, why do we need HTTP caching in the first place? So the major benefit is the performance thing. So when we use HTTP caching, the server doesn't have to process the requests too often. So it leverages the caching on its side and then serves the clients much faster. So performance is one big aspect. Okay, although we get this performance benefits, caching comes with its own problems. Anytime we have any bugs, right, the first place we look at is the cache. Okay, the challenges like the cache invalidations. Okay, whether we are being by cache invalidation, if it's not done properly, we might get the stale response from the browser, from the server. So those will be the challenges. Anyway, so today we are going to quickly see how exactly can we implement HTTP caching using .NET. So, and we will be seeing different things from the client side and from the server side. Like what are the capabilities we get from the client side? What kind of controls we get from the client side when we are doing that request? And also what kind of capabilities we have on the server side. So in .NET, we actually have two ways of implementing caching. One is the response cache, and the second one is the output caching. So we are going to implement each of these and quickly compare and contrast what capabilities we have on the client and the server side in each of these things. So let's get started. Let me pull in my Visual Studio Code. Okay, let me first show you how to implement the response caching. So we have to first configure the response caching in the middleware. In the so let the way we need to do we can do that is builder services dot add response caching. That's all. Okay, this is one liner, and okay, this sets up the uh, web application builder to start using response caching. And then when we are in the app level, we have to say that use the response caching. Even though the builder might have been configured to it, unless you say use response caching after the app has been before the app run, that won't be applicable. Okay, so that's the first setting we need to do. Second thing is at the controller level, we need to add this attribute called response caching, and here we can specify the different things like the duration. Let's say let me a duration of 121. Okay, it is uh, the units for this is seconds. So by decorating the controller with this attribute, what we are saying is that whenever this controller gets the request, it can cache the responses for 120 seconds without processing these responses. So what exactly does it mean? We will see in a second. So let me run this server. Let me take you to the debug console. Okay, and here let me start doing the request. Okay, let me send the request from the postman. So when I'm sending the request, you can see that I'm getting this new thing in the response header. It's called public max age 120. So what this means is that the age of the response that we got will be for 120 up to 120 seconds. And here we can see that the database call is made. Now let me do one more call. Okay, so this the age will be the response that we got has elapsed for 24 seconds. Okay, let me clear the debug console here and let me do the request again. What you will see is that here we are not making a call to the database again. So let me keep calling it. Age is 44. Okay, 48. Okay, likewise. So let me continue this, or maybe I can reduce the age and see whether the let me make it 120 instead of 120, and let us see how whether a new request to the database goes through or not. Okay, let me send the request. The request is processing. A database call is made. Let me clear the debug console now. And let me make another call. Age is 6. Age is 9. The response age is 10, 13, 15, 16. It's 19. Now, the moment it's 20, a new database call has been made. That means server is now processing that request after the duration has elapsed. Okay, so that's number one thing. So, this is from the server side. One important thing to note in response caching is that the client can ask the server to not cache the thing also. So for that, what you need to do is you need to send us header, okay, saying no cache header. Okay, so by that, what will happen is now we'll in the request we'll have this new header called no cache. So when the browser is or when the client is asking no caching, let us see whether the uh, server entertains that, honors it or not. Let me do a call first time, second time. Okay, so as you can see now, every time, even though they have not changed anything on the server, but now when your client is doing this request, every time the request is going to the database. As you can see, I can clear this console here. Okay, I'm doing the call. Every time the call is going completely to the is getting processed in the server. There is no cache. Okay, also you see there is no age thing that is coming back from the server because age is 0. The request has not been served from the cache, but it has still been served from the database, or the request has been actually processed with it's the controller level. Okay, I can just flip this setting and see. Okay, I'm flipping this setting, confirming that the header is no more having that no cache thing. I'll do okay, clear the thing. So this time I get this age thing, and also the database calls are not happening on the server for that particular request. So that's about the response caching. So and also how we can what kind of control we have from the client side with respect to response caching. The second type, okay, before going to the second type, in response caching, we can also have a different, like we can set up the response caching configuration at the middleware level using the cache profiles. Okay, for that, what we need to do is, okay, response caching. Okay, here we can configure it. We can have options. Just that we can say opt dot. Think we can do it at the controller level. So opt, let me try to configure it. Opt dot cache profiles dot add. I can give one profile, say 120 seconds duration. Okay, and I can configure it accordingly. Duration. Okay, new cache profile, and you can set the settings. The duration. It's 120 seconds. Okay. Now with this, let us see. Yeah, with this, let us see. Just to summarize. Additionally, what I'm doing is I'm creating a cache profile, a named cache profile with this constraint. So with this, what the benefit is that now I can just take this name and I can use that name at the controller level. Let me restart the server. Let us monitor the console. Now let me do a request and let us see whether we'll get the max such as 120 or not. Okay, yeah, we did get the request 120. That means that this particular cache profile name is honoring that configuration that we did at the middleware. Okay, so that's about the response caching. Now the second type, as I said, is the output caching. Let us configure the output caching as the middleware. So for that, again, it's similar thing. Just we need to add output caching, and then you have to use that output caching, and then at the controller level, you can add this attribute called output cache, and then you can give the duration. Let's see, that's 20 seconds. Okay, and let's rerun the server. Okay, the server is up and running. Let us make the first request. Okay, okay, this is the first request. As you can see, we can see the age here. But one difference is between the output cache and the response caches. Now we are not getting that header, the response header of cache control. Okay, previously we were getting the cache control header wherein we were saying the max duration that the cache will be available. So, but this time with the output caching, we don't get that particular header. So for somebody who is managing cache at the client level, it was handy for them with that particular response header. But with the output caching, we don't get that header. And another major difference with the output caching is that previously at the server, at the client level, we were having this capability of saying no caching, right? For example, I will say, okay, and the server would honor it. Okay, now let us see whether that is honored still or not. So I'm sending cache control no cache from the request header, and let us see the response, whether we get the cache response or a new. So as you can see, we are still getting the cache response, and we can even confirm it from the here console, from the Tibet console also. So I'm doing a new request. The age is 2012, but the okay. So basically, net with the output caching, browser doesn't have a say on whether you want to serve it from the cache or not. Okay, it will always be served from the cache, irrespective of the request header being no cache or not. So that's one major difference uh, with respect to the output caching or the response caching in .NET. So and also just the way we did duration configuration at the middleware level, output caching also allows you to do that configuration. So for that, what you can do is you can say options, and here you can, so it's a little different from the response caching. So this time what we have to do is we have to say add add policy. Okay, and we can give a name. Again, let's say 120 seconds, and then we can configure it accordingly. So what we can do is we can just say opt dot spire. We will configure that. Spire. Okay. Base policy. Okay, base policy dot expand. Okay, set expand and dot from seconds. You can say like 120 seconds or something. Let's see the name. 120 seconds policy. And then the configuration. Okay, so this way, what happens now is we can use this policy name. 120 seconds. Let me restart the server. And let us see. So there's a landing. So as you can see, we're getting the ages 2, 5, and so on. Okay, so another thing with the output cache is that you can configure the default caching. Okay, default configurations for caching. For example, you can say add base policy. Okay, so when you have this base policy, you automatically take that configuration. You don't have to give any output caching or anything attribute at the controller level. Every controller will get this base caching configuration. So if we restart this, configure it to 10 seconds just to quickly see whether after 10 seconds anything happens or not. This is the first call now. Okay, what is going through? And data this call is made. Let me clear the data console and let us see the age here. So age is 8, age is 10, and then data this call goes through. So even though I have not configured the decorated the output cache on the controller, still because we have configured as base policy as base policy settings, that's why we are able to honor it. So now let's say that some controller doesn't want to follow this base policy. So what options do we have? So we can override that saying output cache, and we can say no caching. Cache and no content is equal to true. It's no content actually no cache. Let me check that out once. And then getting what let me just check that. The configuration, no store, sorry, yeah, my bad. It's actually called no store true. So when you say no store true, what happens is, even though at the middleware level you have configured some settings for the caching, but this particular controller will not be doing any caching. Let us quickly check this. Let us run the server. First call. There is no age here. So second thing, there is no age here. So basically, server is no more caching the request for this particular company controller. So that's the thing. So that's about output caching. So one common thing, one more capability we have from the client that we can configure across both response caching and the output caching is about e-tagging. For example, let us say that to optimize the response, you do not want to see the response again and again. You want to see only the response after the response has changed. So for that, what we can do is we can configure the action to return that e-tag in the response HTTP responses. Okay, so for that, let me configure this e-tags set response dot headers dot e tags. Okay, here what I will do is I will send the e tag every time. Tag with a quotation GUID you get numerical formatting quotation. Okay, so I'm not at this time the difference is that I'm sending the e tag. Let us see how this e tag can we leverage the client side to optimize the bandwidth of the response. I mean the response payload. Okay, so let us see. Let me restart the server. Do this 120 seconds. Let me restart. So now we have the server setting for 120 seconds of caching lifespan. Okay. Uh, Let me do the first request. Okay, you see a new thing that e tag, right? So now this client can leverage this e tag by sending this particular additional request response saying that if none match, okay, and we can send this e tag that we got from the server in the consequent requests. But what would happen is we would not get the fail. We would get the HTTP response as 304 not modified a new until the cache has been invalidated. So that's the difference between using e tag and allowing clients to optimize their response payload. Okay, so that's all I think for today. Thank you so much.